Good morning to all of you. It's great to see, and earlier the show of hands that Luis did was fantastic. I mean, such a diverse group of people from all around the sort of world, not just from London, not just from M25, which is the sort of London area, but from across. So I want to say for people who are not from London, welcome to London. And it's absolutely a pleasure for me. It's a double pleasure for me to be speaking here. One, as somebody who is now the Deputy Mayor of London for Business and championing the tech industry of London, but also as a fintech entrepreneur. And I set up my international payments business in 2005, so about 12 years ago, long before it was called Fintech and long before it was cool. But I set up and it became, I remember I just started with a laptop and built it up. And it became one of the fastest growing companies in the country. Things have changed since for better, which is fantastic. But look, my job now is to champion London's businesses and London's economy. And London is a very finely balanced ecosystem. If somebody asks me, why is London so successful as a city? There are many reasons for it. But frankly, there are two or three, the big reasons. But I sum those reasons up as London being a center which has got the quality of New York, Washington, D.C., and San Francisco, all three in one. So you've got, like New York, we've got a great sort of finance capital of the world. We've got great access to finance. In fact, we've got more banks than any other city in the world. We've got more American banks in London than there are in New York. We've got more insurance companies than any other city in the world. We've got more international law firms than any other city in the world. If there's a business done between a Chinese firm and a German firm, the contracts are drafted here in London under the English common law. So it is a great center of financial services and banking. But then it's also like Washington in a way because it's also the capital city. So it's the seat of the government, the Prime Minister is based here, but also all the regulators are based here. So we are in fintech. If you want to talk to the FCA, they are just a tube ride away. They are no more than 15 minutes away from here where we are sitting. But number three, which is the most important thing which any ecosystem like this needs to be successful, is access to talent. And London has got that in abundance. We've seen today with the show of hands how many people from around the world actually come to this ecosystem. Almost 40% of London's population was actually born outside of the UK. So it's a very cosmopolitan, multicultural, outward-looking, global, cosmopolitan city. And that has kept us going despite Brexit. And this is what makes it a very, very attractive place for investment. And at the heart of our offer, we have some of the biggest financial institutions keen to invest in the latest innovations that drive our financial services firms. And you combine these core strengths like we have in financial services and banking, you combine that with the technological revolution that is going on in London right now. It makes a huge difference and it strengthens London's position very, very strongly. So we've got more software developers than Berlin, Stockholm, and Dublin combined. So people talk about, I remember I was here last year actually, and I was just been one day or 1 week in the job. It was my first week as the Deputy Mayor of London for Business. And I remember after I finished my speech, I was just out there through the doors there, and there was German television, they were accompanying a German minister who were here talking about how attractive it is for the sort of businesses from here to move to Berlin. And it was quite interesting, and people asked me, what do you think of it? Of all these vans going around saying, keep calm and move to Berlin. What do you think of that? And I said, you know what? London has got a very unique ecosystem, which is impossible, almost impossible to replicate. So Our message is collaboration and not competition. And we have seen that. So whilst some of these cities are growing very rapidly, we've got more software developers than Berlin, Stockholm, and Dublin combined. But we've also got a very diverse ecosystem. We've got more female founders in London than any other city in the world, more female founders than even Silicon Valley. Just 3 weeks ago, I was in Silicon Valley. I took a group of female founders from London, about 15 female founders, all running very fast-growing tech businesses. And it was amazing, such sort of talented entrepreneurs from here, and obviously meeting some very talented and successful businesses there, and what can happen when some great talented people come together. But we've also got some fantastic accelerators here, like Level 39, which is Europe's largest fintech accelerator. So these are all the reasons why London is so unique as an ecosystem. And I've done it myself. I mean, when I started the business in 2005, I still remember the day, and I say this story many, many times because it's quite interesting. Because I was in a job in a foreign exchange firm, and I had this great idea that we could take all of this online, making international payments. So I quit my job, and then I realized that I've got no money in the bank account, and my visa was going to run out in 6 months. So I prepared a little PowerPoint presentation, went to a bank asking for a £10,000 loan to start the business. And you can, if some of you have done that before, you know what the answer is. They turned me down. So 2 days later, I went back to the same bank. I said, "You are right. I should not start my own business. I'm going to continue in my job. But I'm thinking of buying a car." So they lent me £20,000 to buy the car. And of course, I never bought the car because I didn't even have a driving license at the time. But just for the records, I've repaid all the money back with interest. And I do not recommend anyone using that method of financing your business. But look, things have changed a lot. We have become the city of angels. I was in Los Angeles recently, but we are now the city of angels. We've got huge ecosystem where you've got a lot of angel investors. That was not the scene 10 years ago. You look at these accelerator, startup incubators, that was not the scene 10 years ago. But you've also got some of the biggest VC firms, and the money just keeps on flowing and flowing. So both the mayor and I are fully determined to make sure that London continues to remain open for business, and open for investment, open for talent from around the world. And that's why we champion London's businesses, and we take these delegations abroad. Mayor and I together, we went on a European tour about 3 months ago, and we took 54 fast-growing businesses from London, all pretty much from the tech sector. There was one particular delegation from Fintech that we took to Madrid, and they are doing a lot of businesses. We put them in front of some of the sort of biggest Spanish bank, BBVA, Santander, and so on. But look, no speech can complete without talking about the B word, which is the Brexit. And let's talk about that, because I was appointed by the mayor 6 days after the referendum result with a specific remit to protect jobs and growth. And I've spent last 12 months speaking to businesses across London, big and small, startups, corporates, people from sort of tech industry, retail industry, investment banking, all sorts of businesses from across all sectors. And there are 2 or 3 things which are very, very clear. And we have heard what is loud and clear, how it is important that we have continued access to the single market. That's the number one thing businesses talk about every single time, whether regardless of the sector, regardless of the size, that they want continued access to the single market. Maximum access to the single market. But I think it should be possible now to have continued access to the single market, continued membership of the single market even, because the recent general elections have moved the goalpost, and it's a very clear mandate, clear message from the people to the Prime Minister that we do not want a hard Brexit. That's number one thing. Number two is come March 2019, we don't want a cliff edge. And I know it affects many of the businesses here in the room. We don't want a cliff edge. And frankly, we've got, 20 months remaining now between now and March 2019. It would be very, very difficult. It's very ambitious to try and negotiate the entire position on trade and investment between UK and Europe. So it's very important that we have some sort of a transitional arrangement. It makes sense for the government to have some sort of a transitional arrangement, an interim deal that protects businesses from in an event of cliff edge. But the third thing which I keep talking about is talent. What has made London such a great city is the amazing talent pool that it has. So we must make sure that first of all the talent that is already here from European Union continues to stay here. So there should be a very clear message to the European community here. We've got over 1 million Europeans that live in London, over 3 million in the UK. There should be a very clear message from the government that the people are welcome, and then the people who are already here should have automatic permanent right to continue stay in the UK. But we must continue to attract talent from around the world. And for that, we need a flexible, open visa system, a flexible immigration system that works for businesses, which puts our needs, business needs first before anything else. So that is extremely important. And you know what, we'll continue. We have seen the investment continue to come in London. We have seen some of the, obviously the big companies, for example, the Google has invested £1 billion after the referendum. Facebook is looking to double its workforce over the next couple of years. Apple has taken a big office of 500,000 square feet in Battersea Power Station. These are all signs, these are all vote of confidence in London's core strength. But it's not just those investments, frankly, it's the even our survey of British-based banker, which was late last year, 3/4 of the British-based bankers were confident that London will continue to remain as the financial center of Europe after Brexit. And when I go to Europe, my message is very simple, that look, if I ask you to name 3 or 4 top global cities in the world, probably London would be the only European city that will come to your mind. So it is very important that London continues to be the global financial center, because it's not just the UK, but entire Europe that has actually benefited from London's position as a global financial center. So London is not just a British asset, it's actually a European asset. So it's in Europe's interest too to protect London's economy and its status as the financial center. And I know that there are certain banks and businesses who are making contingency plans, planning in an event where there is a cliff edge. Banks like HSBC, UBS, JP Morgan, they are all planning, and rightly so, any business would plan in case there is a cliff edge to move. But let me tell you this, that this should not be mistaken as a mass exodus of businesses from London. That will not happen. The jobs will continue to stay here. The business will continue to stay in London, because the real threat to London's position as the global financial center is frankly not coming from any of the European cities like Frankfurt or Berlin or Paris. The real competition comes from other big global cities like New York, like Hong Kong, like Beijing. These are the cities that we've got to compete with. And it's very important that's why we maintain this unique system, the unique ecosystem that we have, and so on. So the investment keeps flowing in, big vote of confidence in London, not just in general technology firms, but also specifically in fintech. We have seen the investment keeps on flowing in. We have seen many deals that have happened, some in payment sectors, others in sort of peer-to-peer lending. So companies like Funding Circle, they've raised a large amount of money. Currency Cloud have raised money. Monzo has raised money. More and more venture capital firms are opening up here. When I was in Silicon Valley about 3 weeks ago, I spoke to a lot of business leaders there who are running some of the most successful technology firms. But I also spoke to a lot of venture capital firms. And let me tell you this, that they've shown huge amount of confidence in London. Also, a report by Deloitte recently ranked London as the leading fintech hub. This is even after the EU referendum. So look, there are challenges ahead. Without a doubt, there is uncertainty. But we are entrepreneurs and we are optimistic people, right? And London's ecosystem is so unique. I've got full confidence in London's future. And we must make sure that the future relationship between the UK and Europe continues to remain strong. Because the UK may have voted out to leave the EU, but it will always remain a European city. And London will continue to remain open for investment, open for business, open for ideas, and open for talent. And the gathering today here is a great proof of that people have traveled from 3,000, 5,000 miles away to be here in our great ecosystem. And I once again welcome them all. And I would like to thank you all for your time today. And I wish everybody a very, very productive week. People who are not from London, enjoy your stay in London for the rest of the week. Thank you very much.